Hi, I'm Eva Kucherenko, and we're UNITED24 media with the latest news from Ukraine. 7 people were killed and more than 20 were injured after Russia launched up to 15 strikes on Kharkiv yesterday. One of the missiles struck a printing house, where around 50 workers were on shift at the time. The Ukrainian president was at the scene of the destroyed printing house. The general manager told him when Russian forces started attacking Kharkiv, all the employees were at their workplaces. Some of them were killed instantly. 20,000 books printed for various Ukrainian publishing houses have been destroyed, including books for children. The Kharkiv region governor also reported attacks on 2 other settlements, Lubotin and Zolochiv. In Lubotin, 7 people were injured. Later, Russia attacked Derhachi near Kharkiv. There were 13 injuries. Russia had planned to partially encircle Kharkiv and put pressure on the Ukrainian formations to the east of the Pechenihy reservoir. This was reported by The Economist, citing retrieved military plans. According to journalists, this operation was planned for May 15th, 16th, but was postponed for nearly a week for unknown reasons. Russian forces had identified 2 axes of attack on both sides of the reservoir. They had planned to break through to the town of Pechenihy on the Vovchansk front, and on the western front, Russians wanted to get to the village of Borshava with an artillery range of Kharkiv. They were stopped by Ukraine's 92nd Brigade, which pushed them back 10 kilometers from their original goal. Doing their best to prevent Russians from breaking through, we hear from one of the 92nd Brigade soldiers holding the position near Vovchansk in the Kharkiv region. More about their fight in our report.
Here in Vovchansk, the situation is much hotter.
Pavlo is a gunner in the 92nd Brigade. He and his fellow soldiers had previously taken part in the heavy fighting near Bakhmut. But he believes now in Vovchansk the situation is much more difficult.
It's all day and night. Their infantry keeps coming and we keep pushing their assaults away. At least we are trying. Whenever possible, we hold them back. We used to be positioned in the Bakhmut area. Now we have been transferred here. It was less intense there compared with what's going on here, but we still push them back.
But also in the Bakhmut area, we used to have a problem with the delivery of ammunition, says Pavlo. Now the situation is much better. They have the opportunity to stop Russian forces.
We have something to work with, to fight. We are exhausted, deprived of sleep. But this is our duty, and we are doing our best to prevent them from breaking through.
One of the ways the Ukrainian soldiers can stop Russians is to hit them while they are moving to new positions. The commander of the artillery unit is confident now that they will receive all the much-needed ammunition.
We will be getting ammunition because we are up against a vast and hostile foe. If we can demonstrate now that even in such extreme situations, we are able to stop the enemy's large-scale assault on Kharkiv and the Kharkiv region, the enemy will not dare to think of attacking Kyiv, Chernihiv, Sumy, or Poltava regions.
Russian soldiers shot civilians who tried to evacuate from Vovchansk. Alexei Kharkivsky, the chief patrol officer of the city, said there was evidence that Russians killed people while they were trying to cross the river to get to the Ukrainian soldiers. But even under such extreme circumstances, people are still trying to escape. Ukrainian photographers Vlada and Konstantin Liberov released a drone video of what Vovchansk looks like now. In the footage, there are dead civilians lying on the streets. In the description, the photographers wrote, "It's hard to imagine, but just a couple of weeks ago, there was life here." Russian troops have gained partial success near the village of Ivanivka in the Kharkiv region. Ukrainian forces are now stabilizing the situation. This was reported by the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces today. Our journalist, Mikita Ilchenko, visited Ukrainian soldiers on the Kupiansk axis.
A lot of things are happening. On the screen we see a group of Russians taking away a wounded man. An FPV drone flies right into them. But unfortunately, the projectile does not explode. What a spectacle it would have been. At the same time, the drone spots a group of enemy helicopters in the sky.
Ні, 124, то Мі-24, блядь.
The enemy attempted to storm one of our positions with 6 soldiers. We repelled the assault with small arms fire and FPV drone strikes. The enemy suffered losses. One soldier retreated wounded, and the rest were killed in action.
Don't miss the full report from the Kupiansk Axis tomorrow on our YouTube channel. Our journalist Philip Malzahn has just returned from the Kharkiv region. Here's an update of the situation from the front line.
We are at a command post outside of Kharkiv, and since Russia launched its offensive on the Kharkiv region on the 10th of May, the situation has somewhat stabilized. The Russians are not advancing as they were in the first couple of days, and also all the chaos that surrounds an offensive like that has kind of calmed down. The main task of the Ukrainian army, though, now is to make sure that the Russians don't manage to fortify the positions they have taken, don't manage to dig in so that there is still the possibility to push them out. When I say it's stabilized, I don't mean that the situation is easy. Still, every day we see a lot of pictures that reach us from destructions, from dead civilians, but the situation is definitely better already than it was 10 days ago, and what happens next, I guess one will just have to wait and see.
The weeks and months ahead will be crucial for Ukraine, said U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin during the meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group. The conference call took place on Monday. According to Austin, Ukraine's survival and success are central, not only to Ukrainian security, but also to a global one. With participation from defense ministers and officials representing nearly 15 nations, the summit aims to sustain coordination of military assistance for Ukraine. After the meeting, Austin stated that Ukraine's forces are making excellent use of the capabilities provided by the members of the contact group.
We spent a lot of time today on life-saving air defense systems, which are helping Ukraine stave off waves of Russian missiles, Iranian UAVs, and North Korean munitions. And we'll continue to push to ensure that Ukraine owns its skies and can defend its citizens and its civilian infrastructure far from the front lines.
And during the meeting, 12 countries agreed to support Germany with their initiative to strengthen Ukraine's air defense. As Germany's Ministry of Defense posted on the X page, Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, and Canada are ready to provide financial assistance. The USA, UK, France, Spain, Romania, Belgium, and Lithuania agreed to help with equipment and missiles. Latvia also wants to join the initiative. Some NATO countries are already sending their instructors to train Ukrainian military personnel. In an interview for the Financial Times, Prime Minister of Estonia, Kaja Kallas, said that countries did so at their own risk. She commented that even if Russian troops attacked foreign personnel, this would not automatically trigger Article 5 of NATO's Mutual Defense Clause. At the same time, the US has no plans to send military instructors to Ukraine. As the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff remarked, before the full-scale invasion, there were US military members who were working on training the Ukrainians. Now they don't.
When I said that we would be able to do that eventually, once this conflict is over and we're in a better place, then I would suspect we would be able to bring trainers back in. But right now, there are no plans to bring U.S. trainers into Ukraine.
Ukrainian allies could help by intercepting Russian missiles over Ukraine, says President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. He told Reuters that he was pushing partners to get more involved in the war, in particular by shooting down Russian missiles over Ukrainian territories where circumstances allow. This was one way he suggested that Western countries could help more directly.
Russians are using 300 planes on the territory of Ukraine. We need at least 120, 130 planes to resist, to fight back in the sky. You can't provide that right now. Okay, so we're going back to air defense. You can't provide that either? F-16, you cannot provide yet? So we are returning to the planes that you have on the territory of neighboring NATO countries. Raise them up. They are there. Use them, shoot down targets, protect civilians.
Ukraine needs to be able to fight back, said U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson. Answering the question about using U.S.-delivered weapons to hit Russia, he said that Ukraine has to fight the war as they see fit.
I think we need to allow Ukraine to prosecute the war and the way they see fit. They need to be able to fight back, and I think us trying to micromanage the effort there is not good policy for us.
Russia's self-proclaimed president, Vladimir Putin, seeks to involve Belarus in nuclear drills. During his visit to Minsk, Vladimir Putin is said to have discussions with his Belarusian counterpart, Alexander Lukashenko, about the potential involvement of the Belarusian military in Russia's non-strategic nuclear drills. Russia has already begun the first stage of exercises with tactical nuclear drills ordered earlier this month. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, the first stage of the exercise involved Iskander and Kinzhal missiles. It is aimed to ensure that units and equipment are ready for, quote, the combat use of non-strategic nuclear weapons to unconditionally ensure the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the Russian state in response to provocative statements and threats by individual Western officials against the Russian Federation, end of quote. 10 Ukrainian servicemen have completed F-16 fighter aircraft maintenance training in the Netherlands. The country has already declared its readiness to send at least 24 F-16s to Ukraine. The servicemen were taught how to maintain all the important components of a fighter jet. The training also included assembling and testing a survival kit that allows a pilot to stay alive for several days after an emergency landing. As the Dutch Ministry of Defense stated, through their training, Ukrainians are being prepared for all the possible risks of an F-16 mission. Ukrainian pilots in one of the tactical aviation brigades are already practicing combat missions on F-16 aircraft simulator. It was provided by the Czech Republic. The Air Force Command of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported in the near future all tactical aviation brigades will be equipped with such platforms. The head of the simulator maintenance team said that receiving this aircraft simulator was a real breakthrough. It gives pilots a real feel for flying an F-16 fighter jet. Sea Baby maritime drones, which were purchased through donations, are now equipped with Grad systems. This was reported by a UNITED24 initiative on Telegram. These drones are actively involved in combat operations. This week, the Security Service of Ukraine, together with the Navy, used them to strike Russian positions on the Kinburn Spit. Here are some photos taken in winter of the production of the Sea Baby drones. Almost $650 million have been raised through the UNITED24 platform since it was created 2 years ago. From rebuilding to defense, there are 5 directions that people from all over the world can choose to donate to. While someone might send funds to rebuild a hospital, another can help to purchase Sea Baby maritime drones. More about the UNITED24 summit in Kiev in our latest report.
No matter what anyone says, no matter what narratives they promote, we will overcome them and gain victory. Glory to Ukraine.
May 23, Kiev. The UNITED24 summit marks 2 years since the UNITED24 fundraising platform started its work.
We have proven that the hearts on different continents, the hearts of ordinary people, that millions of such hearts can equally empathize and effectively help a country that they may not have known anything about before this war.
Since then, almost $650 million has been raised.
UNITED24 connects people from over 100 countries. Now, it's 110. People donate anything from a few dollars to their entire salary, and sometimes they even contribute as a whole family.
People who want to help Ukraine can choose their direction of support. Directions have a variety of ambassadors, actors, musicians, sportsmen, scientists. Currently, we have 26 ambassadors. Actor Misha Collins became ambassador for the humanitarian demining direction. In just a few days, he already raised $450,000 for a demining vehicle.
One of the things about demining is that it's incredibly slow and meticulous unless you have the right equipment. So it is possible to do demining by hand. A deminer can demine about 1 square meter in 1 day.
The money that's been raised and that money that's been used for important things like, rebuilding, healthcare, schools, drones, sea drone. I mean, between the weapons that are provided for, but also the humanitarian aid has been significant.
First of all, I want to thank the UNITED24 platform, our distinguished ambassadors, everyone who donated to the rebuilding of our school, and especially our brave Ukrainian armed forces.
Equipment used by Ukrainian forces is on display for participants of the UNITED24 summit. For example, sea drones that protect Ukrainian seas. One Sea Baby naval drone costs more than $200,000.
A good indicator to show the combat potential of UNITED24 fundraising is that 1/3 of the Black Sea Fleet has been destroyed. This is all thanks to the work of each of you.
During the summit, UNITED24 launched the first fundraiser for terrestrial robotic platforms. This will help to save lives on the front line. Other directions people can contribute to: medical aid, rebuilding Ukraine, education, and science. For 2 years, UNITED24 has implemented more than 100 projects to support Ukraine.
The European Commission expects to start using proceeds from frozen Russian assets and send them to Ukraine by July. The report found on the EC website recognizes the urgency as the Commission makes every effort to ensure that Ukraine will get the first payment as early as July. EC Vice President Valdis Dombrovskis assured that the way the EU has chosen to use Russian assets is legally sound and flexible so that support can be adapted to Ukraine's most pressing needs. That's it for today. We're UNITED24 Media. Thanks for being with us and see you next week.